Welcome back. Let's continue now. Travelers using FlySafair could face major delays and disruptions this coming week as more than 200 of the airline's pilots represented by the Solidarity Union, they're set to embark on a 2-week protected strike. It starts tomorrow. Now, the industrial action, it follows a deadlock in wage talks after Solidarity members rejected a 5.7% increase offer from FlySafair, demanding 10% instead, along with improving conditions and leave policies as well. Well, what started as a planned one-day strike has now escalated after FlySafair issued a 7-day lockout notice, prompting Solidarity to then extend the strike to 14 days. The airline has begun proactively rescheduling flights between July 22nd and the 28th of July, as well as precautionary measures. Some services may not be guaranteed, of course, also during this period. But perhaps just to unpack a little bit more what this really means, we are now joined by Solidarity Trade Union General Secretary Gideon Du Plessis. And good afternoon, and thank you for your time with us here on the SABC at this hour.
Thank you, Liesl. Good afternoon.
So obviously, my introduction has really painted a picture of how we've gotten to this point. But just from your vantage point, what exactly is at the heart of this labour dispute? If we're looking at the key issues that have been raised, this would have obviously been taken up with management and government over a period of time. Solidarity members are asking for obviously that 10%, and they feel that their demands are justified at this time. Contextualize it for us, please.
Yeah, Liesl, thank you. Yeah, no, I was hoping to say that this week we'll get off to a flying start, but it's quite the opposite. It will not get to a flying start at all. No, the salary increase is at the moment not the main issue. The issue first of all started with a unilateral change to the shift roster pattern, where there used to be an open roster where the pilots had a say in the roster, and if there was some event taking place where they have to attend to a family matter or when they require adequate rest, they had a say. So then there was a change where it's a fixed roster and they have very limited say, and that led to a first dispute and a strike notice being issued. So with that, we had to go into wage negotiations. So the relationship was already at an all-time low. There was a lot of animosity between the parties, and then we went into wage negotiations, and on top of it, there were changes to the leave pay, and there were also changes and a lot of issues around other matters, like, for instance, the extra flight pay. So that then took a center stage. And the pilots merely felt that no matter what the wage offer is, they first need to resolve all those other matters that impacts on their working and their working life balance, but also on top of it, they require sufficient rest. And the company was just standing firm on all of it, and it was actually nothing is negotiable. So the end result is the 5.7, if it's 6.7, 8.7, if it's 10, it will not resolve the issue because there are more important things. So when we got to our positioning around the 10.5, we have made a move and said we're even prepared to come down to 8 if you resolve all these other issues. So they said it's a non-negotiable. They will not attend to all those other issues. That's the way it is. So now it makes it difficult to negotiate around wages, but we're also motivated and say we know 10% is high, and regardless of the fact that there's room for movement, there was also major sacrifice that impacted on the pilots during COVID, and they haven't recovered from that. So some are still earning less than they were earning prior to COVID. But we also said if there's no settlement on the roster issue, maybe we can go back to the pilots and say, listen, if I give you 10%, will you then accept that to soften the blow, at least financially? And they said, no, we need more rest and we need more time for families. So that is why it's such a complicated matter. And the fact that there's going to be now a work stoppage, our intention, Liesl, was a 1-day strike. We issued a strike notice for tomorrow. That was the intention, to disrupt the passengers just for 1 day. The response by Safair was then a 7-day lockout notice and another 7 days on top of it if we don't accept within a very short space of time. So they are the aggressors at the moment.
Okay.
What I can just add,
Sure.
sorry.
Yes, please add.
What I can add, the CCMA, the Commission for Conciliation, Mediation and Arbitration, approached us and say, listen, we cannot have this. This is in public interest that we resolve this issue. Are you prepared this weekend to come and sit with us? We will intervene, we will mediate, and we will try and resolve the issues. We are available. SAFAir flatly refused. So this is why we are at the pickle, and this is why there will be a major disruption. And we literally blame SAFAir for all of this.
Well, Gideon, you've really, painted the succinct picture and provided us with context as to how we got here. Issues of leave pay. There's obviously that rostering system that has been questioned, but the need for rest, perhaps also just in relation to safety and regulation standards, recovery from COVID-19 as well, because I actually wanted to look at that 10% demand and how it fit, inflation, also just in terms of industry standards as well. But you've now spoken about the effects this is going to have on commuters as well. And, obviously you're still with that negotiation process, but incident at FlySafair, pointing to broader issues within South Africa's, labor relations in the aviation industry. How would you weigh in on that broader picture?
Well, Liesl, a very good question. It's a problem, So first of all, at FlySafair, there's a lot of changes that have taken place. End result is the way that they managed the change process was shocking. So that's why you have that. But in general, it's a very hostile environment in which you negotiate in. There's so many egos involved. And, so no matter which airline we go and negotiate, it's never an easy negotiation. So it's FlySafair is most probably the worst. But what aggravated the situation is, whilst we know they were doing exceptionally well, we asked to disclose their financials over the past year or so, they refused to do so, but we can, obviously also track and see how much money do they transfer. ASL was basically the majority shareholder sitting in Ireland. But what really annoyed our members was the fact that the CEO and the CFO then went on to go, they part of a trust, and they went on to go sell some of their shares, and they were pocketing just a little bit more than 90 million rands. And that literally affects now SAFAir's license, in the sense that the local content or the local shareholding has now been diluted. So they've even put SAFAir's license at risk, their flying license. So the end result, those are the things that aggravates the situation, to say, but that is purely reckless. That is absolutely reckless. But what SAFAir, we need to resolve these matters around the wage negotiation table, like with the shift roster, like with the wage issue and all the other issues that you've also mentioned. They said you can go and strike. And that's it. We will resolve it there. But when the workers go back, the pilots go back, the animosity will be there. Yeah. The breakdown of the relationship will be there. So a strike is not a way, or a lockout is not the way to resolve these issues.
Gideon, I need to wrap up. But just if we're looking at the steps ahead, obviously, and perhaps this is playing with an imaginary crystal ball at this point. But, if no agreement is reached within the next 2 weeks, what is Solidarity's next steps? Are there further strike action that will be employed, legal challenges? I'm even just looking at the negotiation process itself. Are there any red lines that the union is not going to cross?
Well, in the first instance, we have to get to the wage negotiation table. That's the only way to find a solution, to sit around the table. And we know initiative with, the parties first need to restore the relationship, but we need to resolve it. So we're then more than willing, anytime, today, tomorrow, whenever, to go back to the wage negotiation table. At the moment, our membership is growing rapidly. Over the past few days, so many new pilots joined Solidarity. So the number that you've made, we started the process with 211 members, that's now grown tremendously. But we're not going to abuse the additional power through our membership. We want to get to the negotiation table. We're inviting FlySafair. It's an interest of the country. It's an interest, their own interest, that we resolve this matter and solution. Every single strike ends in a solution. It needs to happen rather sooner than later.
Gideon Du Plessis, thank you for your time at the Secretary General Solidarity Trade Union, weighing in ahead of that strike at FlySafair there, obviously, as negotiations continue.